Hey, you did it. You made it to the final day of Relation Fit. Good on you. Thank you for sticking in there. Thank you for finishing it. You can mark that off your list. You finished something. Well done. Which is fitting because of today's topic, the art of consistency. I hope that you are enjoying this study. You got one more walk to do this afternoon. After this little portion of Bible study, there's some journal prompts you're going to fill out. And after today's walk, you will have completed it. You can come back to it anytime. It is yours. You can learn from it again. You can grow in these areas again. You can see how you're doing and your progress made as you continue to journal through these things, as this is a lifelong pursuit that you probably will never arrive at least all the way anyway. But our goal is that we begin to develop character around these 14 qualities that allow us to get better, to look more like Jesus. Because when we get better, our relationships get better too. Okay. I'm going to read 1 Corinthians 13 to you, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to talk about the story in the Bible that talks about the art of consistency. Last time through Hebrews 13:4 through the beginning of 8, it says this: love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy. It is not boastful. It is not arrogant. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not irritable, and it does not keep a record of wrongs. Love finds no joy in unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. Now, you'll notice, if you are following along in your Bible, that the love never ends is the beginning of a new verse. And see, here, Paul was talking to the Corinthian church about gifts of the Spirit and how they pursue all these different gifts, and they basically create a caste system in and of themselves based on who has what gift, and this one's more important and less important. And he's like, guys, you can have all these gifts, but if you don't have love, you have nothing. Love is the best one of all, and here's 14 characteristics to show you why. And when he gets to this idea that love never ends, and your translation may say love never fails, the idea here is a timing thing, because as he goes back into the gifts, he says, but if there are these gifts of the Spirit, eventually they're going to stop. But your love will last forever. And it's an idea of time. Love never ends. And so for something to never end, one practice that I know of to help something stand the test of time, or to create something within time, whatever is created in the end is created because of what was consistently done to make it happen. Good or bad, consistency creates the culmination of the end. The end is a result of the plot. It's a result of the story in your life. Your relationship today is a result of the choices you've made yesterday and backward. We're not going to dwell on our mistakes, right? Because we say no to the past. However, we want to learn to be consistent. Now, that's the context of how this thing starts. Yet I really think that it also rounds out and finishes this idea of love. Although it's a part of what he's about to say next, I also feel like it closes out what he's just said. And so we include it in this. And in that, I want to tell you that I think it might work backwards. Because I think that the art of consistency leads us to the art of endurance. And the art of endurance is because we've learned the art of hope, and the art of hope because we learn the art of loyalty. Therefore, we have hope. And the art of loyalty, I'm just going to go backwards for you, and you'll see how it goes, is there because we learn the art of protection. because we learn the art of integrity to give protection, because we've learned the art of forgiveness to be able to express integrity, because we've learned the art of peace that allows us to give forgiveness. And that peace comes from selflessness, because we're not pursuing our own things and getting stressed out about our own selves. And that selflessness comes out of gentleness, which comes out of humility, which comes out of contentment, which comes out of kindness, which starts with patience. I think you can work it backwards and it makes sense. Kind of fun, right? You know what else I think? This is a little side note, completely free. You know what I think is it also works that way? The fruit of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. I think they work sequentially. I think that they lead to one another and they get more difficult as you go along. I think that's also true here. So I think of all the talks that we've had, of all the character traits, all the characteristics, all the things we've learned about relationships from 1 Corinthians 13, I think this one, it seems very straightforward. Love never ends. It's the hardest. And the reason it's the hardest is because it doesn't end. There is no arrival. The destination is a mirage. So it's really all about the journey along the way. It's all about the consistency. Man, we're going to talk about this on our walk today, and it's going to do you some good. And I'm just going to tell you, it's the last one. There's some hard truth in our walk today. Toward the end, there's some hard truth, but you need to know it, and you'll change for it. It'll better you when you realize this truth. But today, I want to tell you a story in the Bible, and it is a romantic story. So it's great for relationships, but it's about consistency. But it's also probably the hardest romantic story in the Bible. And it's the story of Hosea and his wife Gomer. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story, more so than reading it, because it's a long story to read. And my notes are over here, by the way. If you see me looking over here, my notes are over here. So recap a little bit to tell you what's going on. God commanded Hosea to marry Gomer. And you're like, wow, man, that's great. Go find you a wife. You go, Hosea. Not really like that. Let me just read you the first verse in Hosea. Hosea 1:1 says this. The word of the Lord that came to Hosea, son of Beeri, or Beeri, I don't know, however you pronounce it. It's Beer with an I after it. During the reign of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, and to Jeroboam, son of Joash, king of Israel. When the Lord first spoke to Hosea, he said this to him, go and marry a woman of promiscuity and have children of promiscuity, for the land is committing blatant acts of promiscuity, abandoning the Lord. So he went and married Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim, and she conceived and bore a son. It's interesting. That might seem not harsh to you at all. That might just be like, oh yeah, he found a wife and he went and married him. And you got to understand something. She was a prostitute. He commanded him to go marry a prostitute. This is the prophet of God. And he went and married a prostitute. So he rescued her from this slave that she was. She was in slavery to this. This was how she made her living, whether by choice or by force. She made her living this way, and she was stuck in this lifestyle. This is why it hasn't changed today. This is why Tim Tebow's work is so important. The new work he's doing in the sex trafficking industry. This is why A21, a campaign started by Christine Caine, has rescued so many women from human trafficking. I mean, we see this darkness right now being, the shades being pulled back from it all over the world, and it's being brought to light, and we're seeing and hearing horrific things that were always happening and obviously have been happening for millennia. We're just now being made aware of it because of the social aspect to our lives. The digital age has made us aware of it. And so here she's stuck in that, like many people that are in that realm and in that slave trade, that they can't get out of that lifestyle. It's how they make their living. Someone's forcing them to do it, or that's all they've ever known, and they can't get out of the cycle as much as they would want to. They don't know how, and this is the only way they know. And God says to Hosea, man of God, go marry that prostitute. Well, he does. And you would think she's like, oh my gosh, I got a man of God. I don't have to do this anymore. I am well fed. I'm not out here working for this anymore. All the things that I was putting myself out there for, I no longer have to do that. I'm not owned by anyone. I am a free woman because I'm married to this man that bought me. You understand? He had to buy her to marry her. So he bought her, married her, and then here she is. She has children with him. Everything's great. And you know what happens? She goes back and sleeps with somebody else. She leaves him. And all of a sudden, she's being loved by this man. And then she goes to the next man, and the next man, and the next man, until all of a sudden, guess where she finds herself again? Back in the slavery of prostitution. Left her kids, left her husband, left her comfortable wife, or her comfortable life, to go back into the very thing that he saved her from. Now, this is very symbolic in the story of Israel, who God rescued out of Egyptian slavery. And yet they kept going back to these gods that weren't real, that he had called them out from, and these practices he had called them out of to worship freely the real one true God, and they keep falling back into this sin and slavery that they found themselves in. So what does God tell Hosea to do? Well, let me read it to you. He tells Hosea, he says this, he says, therefore, I am going to persuade her. I'm going to lead her to the wilderness and speak tenderly to her. There I will give her vineyards back to her. And I will make the valley of Achor into a gateway of hope. There's a lot of symbolism there. But the command he gives Hosea is this in chapter 3, verse 1. He says, then the Lord said to me, go again. Consistency. Go again. I can preach that so good. You feel like I've done this. I've forgiven, and the relationship's not better. God says, go again. Yeah, but I was selfless for like a whole month, and look, nothing happened. Go again. Here I've been serving them, and I've been doing this, and I haven't done anything wrong, and it just seems to get worse instead of better. Maybe they just don't want to be in relationship with me anymore. Maybe they don't want to be friends anymore. Maybe this marriage isn't going to work. Maybe my child will never speak to me again. Maybe my parents have just lost it. Go again. Go again. And he tells him, go again. Show love to a woman who is loved by another man and is an adulteress. I love this phrase. This is funny. You ready? Just as the Lord loves the Israelites, even though they turn to other gods and love raisin cakes. I don't know. I just love that. I think it's funny. And love raisin cakes. It's funny, isn't it? Get yourself a little laugh. It's good. Go again. So you know what he does? Here's what it says. You'll never believe this. He doesn't just go and speak tenderly to her and show her this and that and love her again and choose her. It cost him his pride, especially in that day and age. Cost him his ego. It could have cost him his status as prophet, except for the fact that it didn't matter what people thought of him as prophet or not. It just mattered that he obeyed God, because God was the one who actually made him profit. Boy, if we live by that principle, that'd be crazy, wouldn't it? If we didn't live our lives based on what other people think about us, but what God simply says to obey, regardless of what society has set up, the structures around us, to tell us who we are and how important we are. I'm going to leave that right there. It's for another time. Here's what it says. As if that wasn't enough. Verse 2 of chapter 3. So I bought her for 15 shekels of silver and 9 bushels of barley. And I said to her, you are to live with me many days. You must not be promiscuous or belong to any man. And I'm going to act the same way towards you. Y'all, that is consistency. I mean, you want to talk about the culmination of putting all these things into practice? That's consistency. Go again and get the woman who doesn't even love you. And he went and he didn't just sacrifice his ego, he bought her again. He already bought her. She's the one who left, and he bought her out of the same slavery he had already bought her out from. And you and I have a hard time even forgiving somebody for saying something mean about us. We have a hard time forgiving a bad choice. Yeah, it was terrible. No, they shouldn't have ever said that. No one should ever betray you like that. That shouldn't have happened to you. And we won't forgive them. Yet he goes and buys her again. The art of consistency is where the magic lies in relationship. If you want to see miraculous things happen in your marriage, be consistent. If you want to see miraculous things happen in your friendships, be consistent. If you want to see miraculous things happen in your own life, be consistent. Consistent with all the things we've talked about. Consistently selfless, consistently patient, consistently kind, consistently loyal and forgiving. I mean, we go through the list, consistent in all of those things, in humility, in hope, in faith, in endurance. Be consistent and watch what will happen in the relationships that you have. Consistency, you're going to learn today, is a superpower. When you're consistent, it's going to cost you something. Maybe something that you've already paid for, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Because that's how beautiful relationships are formed. Consistency will take you where feelings have to stop short. You may not feel that way, but consistency pushes you beyond the feelings into the reality of what God has called you to in the relationship. Consistency is the culmination of all of these characteristics. Hey, there's some journal prompts below I want you to fill out as you look at your consistency and how you can be a person of consistency. We're going to walk today and finish this out and talk about this. And like I said, there's some hard truth in it. But I also want to take a moment to say thank you for doing this with me. Thank you for letting me lead you through this. I love teaching the Bible. It is my joy to teach it to you in this way. I love it. It is fun. Thanks for letting me do it. If you enjoyed it, challenged you, I would love for you to share this with a friend, to invite them to do this journey. And invite them to check it out and see how they can make their relationships better. All right. I'll see you for our walk today, and then I'll see you for another study at another time. You can find them right here on the website. Until next time, friends, peace.